ever wondered just how much disaster aid the US government and who decides where it all goes? With hurricanes, wildfires, and floods growing more severe each year, billions of dollars are being poured into relief efforts. Today, we're diving into how disaster relief was managed under President Donald Trump, exploring the monumental decisions, allocations, and controversies that shaped relief efforts during his tenure. From multi-billion dollar hurricane response to delays in aid distribution, let's break down where the funds went, who made the calls, and how politics played into each decision. During the President Trump's term from 2017 to 2020, the US experienced a series of massive natural disasters that left lasting impacts across the country. These 4 years saw hurricanes, wildfires, and floods wreaked havoc from Texas to California, even Puerto Rico. Many of its events sparkled questions about how fast federal aid was deployed, who received it, and why certain areas saw delays. With price tag reaching into hundreds of billions, disaster response became a hot topic and a focal point of criticism for the administration. Between 2017 and 2020, the US saw an alarming $122 billion plus disaster collective costing an estimate $1 trillion. Some of the most significant disasters including Hurricane Harvey, Irma, and Maria in 2017, and the California's unprecedented wildfires all impacted countless communities. Each disaster spurred billions into federal relief. But the sheer volume and the cost of these events prompted debates on how much aid each region received and how timely it was. In season from 2020 alone set records, with 22 separate billion-dollar events in costing the US $95 billion that year alone. With natural disasters hitting hard and fast, the pressure was on the federal government to respond quickly, yet delays and controversies loom, sparking national debates. Among Trump's most discussed disaster response was his administration handling of Hurricane Maria's aftermath in Puerto Rico. In September 2017, Hurricane Maria devastated the island, dismantling the power grid, damaging the infrastructure, and leaving communities without essential resources for months. With damages estimated at around $90 billion, it became one of the costliest hurricanes in US history. The Trump administration authorized an initial $20 billion in federal aid in response. However, the rollout forced considerable delays, with critics claiming the administration was too slow in delivering the funds, leaving Puerto Ricans waiting months for relief. The Trump administration, however, stated concerns over how the funds would be managed as a reason for the delays. 3 years after the storm in September 2020, the Trump administration allocated an additional $13 billion for Puerto Rico to rebuild infrastructure, including $9.6 billion for Puerto Rico Electrical Power Authority and $2 billion for the Department of Education. While this aid was much needed, critics noted that the timing was weeks before the 2020 presidential election. The question whether it was a political motivated. Wildfires plagued California during Trump's presidency, with 2017 marking a particularly devastating year. In response to the fires, Trump approved 100% of federal cost sharing for emergency protective measures in California for 30 days, allowing FEMA to cover all emergency response costs, from firefighting efforts to evacuation support. Despite the tension arose between Trump and California officials over forest management practices, which Trump argued contributed to the fire problem. Critics urged that Trump's disagreement with California's officials created friction in the disaster aid response. Some even claimed the threatening to withhold federal funds. As a pressure tactic to enforce his preferred forest management policies, the back and forth highlighted how political disagreements could complicate disaster relief, drawing criticism from state officials and residents alike. Federal disaster relief costs during Trump's presidency were significant, with damages from billion-dollar disasters totaling around $600 billion over 4 years. The average to about 121 billion annually, underscoring the intents of the national events, from the hurricanes to wildfires to severe flooding. But with such vast sums required, questions around the allocation and the speed of aid disbursements came points of contention. While some praised the Trump's administration for rapid response in some cases, critics pointed to delays in aid, particularly in areas with political differences. These delays were especially contentious in Puerto Rico, where the slow arrival of aid is politically motivated, impacting how quickly communities could rebuild. One of the most significant criticisms during Trump's presidency was that disaster relief was at times influenced by political considerations. Critics noted aid to regions like Puerto Rico was delayed, raising suspicions about administration's commitment to assisting certain areas. Trump's administration countered by citing concerns about the effective use of funds in such regions. Still, delays in Puerto Rico and ongoing disputes with California officials reinforced suspicion that aid allocation was inconsistent. For Puerto Rico, the delays following Hurricane Maria fueled accusations that Trump's hesitation had unfairly hindered the island's recovery, while California wildfires ignite similar claims, with some suggesting the president's disagreement with state leaders led to slower support. Although aid was ultimately provided, the debate continued over whether these responses were fair and effective. For communities across the U.S., federal disaster relief proved essential for rebuilding and recovery, but the reality for waiting for aid complicated efforts in some areas. The delay in Puerto Rico's recovery efforts, for instance, highlighted the challenges posed by political disputes in the federal aid process. While states like Texas, Florida received prompt assistance following Hurricane Harvey and Irma, Puerto Rico's prolonged wait for funds underscored the limitations of the current disaster relief system. Efficient aid distribution is crucial for communities affected by natural disasters. As natural events increase in frequency and severity, the need for timely relief is more pressing than ever. However, the events during Trump's presidency showcase the various political factors can create what should be impartial process. The political challenges and delays observed during Trump's presidency revealed the urgent need for reform in the federal disaster relief process. As natural disasters become more frequent and intense, effecting the timely aid is necessary to support communities in crisis. This requires a system that operates without political interference, ensuring need rather than policy agendas that guide relief efforts. So, what's the solution? Many believe that prioritizing transparency and speeding up aid distribution could make a significant difference, while others suggest reforms to ensure that all areas receive support. As we look to the future, we hope disaster relief becomes a process that puts people, communities above politics, allowing affected areas to recover as quickly and smoothly as possible. Remember to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this breakdown insightful, do you think disaster relief should be handled differently? What changes could make most significant differences for communities in the crisis? Let's keep the conversation going, and the work toward future relief is fair, effective, focused on those in need. If you had friends and family in Puerto Rico during the Hurricane Maria, tell us about their experience. It's a voice like yours that bring real insight into the changes and the needs of communities faced in times of crisis. Frequently asked questions: why did Trump administration delay aid for Puerto Rico? The administration delayed aid for Puerto Rico due to concerns about fund management critics. However, urged the delays were politically motivated, hindering Puerto Rico's recovery effort. How did the 13 billion aid package impact Puerto Rico? The 13 billion in 2020 helped fund infrastructure improvements, especially for electrical grid and school facilities. Despite its impact and timing made some questions whether it was tied up. The main criticism involved some slow response times and perceived political bias. Critics questioned the timing of specific aid announcements, including 13 billion relief pact announced before 2020 elections. How did Trump's visit in Puerto Rico after the hurricane affected public perception? Trump's visit stirred controversy due to his comments and actions, which some found insensitive. The trip sparked debate and became a focal point to criticism regarding his administration disaster response. The projects were funded by 13 billion aid package. The package allocated 9.6 for Puerto Rico's electrical grid, 2 billion for school infrastructure, providing essential support for long-term recovery. As disasters increase, release efforts became faster, fairer, and more efficient to meet communities in need. Federal aid should reflect a commitment to supporting people over politics, giving them resources to rebuild, thrive after devastating events. If you believe disaster relief should prioritize community needs, spread awareness, share this video, comment on necessary improvements, and subscribe for more insights on disaster response. Together we can work toward a future where relief is swift, unbiased, and truly helpful. If friends or family were affected by disasters like Hurricane Maria, share the experience in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going on the urgency of prioritizing people over politics regarding disaster relief. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights on the current events.